Hi, Peter Hain here, and I help guide organizations unlocking the potential of data, analytics, and AI within the Microsoft ecosystem. And in today's video, I'm going back to a part of a presentation, the essence of a presentation I gave about 5 years ago to an audience in several states in Australia as part of a national roadshow the organisation worked for. And I was thinking about it, how relevant it is still today, 2024, around how we think about, digital transformation, which was a big buzzword 5 years ago. It was certainly, on top of everyone's mind. It seems like a new sort of thing to do. But when you broke it down, it's around how do we enable technology to help organizations move forward. And since then we've had a lot of changes in the world, technology wise. Generative AI has been a big one, and so I thought it'd be useful to go through this again. I've just tweaked it a bit to make it a bit more sort of generalized that you can think about, and just a pattern you can consider as you're going through your own our own thoughts around how to enable AI or analytics or data initiatives inside your own organization. So the advance a slide. The formula looks a bit like this. It's envision and align, execute, and you get those outcomes. And I really like to focus when I talk to clients around what that envision looks like and those business outcomes look like, because if you get those right, know what the end state is and kind of an idea of where you need to go, then the align and execute actually becomes fairly easy to understand. Not saying it's easy to do or get the buy-in, what have you, but it becomes a lot more simplified once you've set yourself up right. So I'll step through each of these and explain what my thinking is around that. Hopefully there's some value that you get out of that. So the first way I start when thinking about envisioning, and this came from some Microsoft side thinking around digital transformation many years ago. It might even be close to 10 years ago. There was some articles that come out. I think Satya Nadella had attached to this, and in that time, I think it really still holds true. When we think about what are the 4 key areas that we can change inside an organization or a business, it's how we engage our customers better. It's the interaction with, and those customers could be, it's a commercial organization, they'll be the ones purchasing products and services from you. If you're a healthcare provider, not-for-profit, government entity, they're your citizens, they're the people you're serving. How do you engage them better and digitally using data and AI? And so latching onto that as how to improve that, what does that vision look like to change our customers' lives or interactions, services provided. That's a good way to ground what you want to do or how you're going to go do that, tying it to the outcome. The second part of the envision here is empowering employees. So the people who work in your organization, clearly, and how do you empower them with the tools, the data, to do the processes to serve your customers, to provide the services or make the products and so forth, but really empowering employees digitally with the power of data and AI. Again, another sort of way to ground what you're doing, and you have to cover all 4 of these when you're thinking about it. You might be focusing on one particular initiative, and that's again the right combination of those as well. The third here in the envisioning is optimizing operations, and that's really how you go about doing the things you do, your processes you have. So how do you make those better? How do you improve iteratively? And this is a really opportunity for things like AI, because if there's manual things you're doing or things that may be multiple steps, how can you optimize that? that's a great area to think about for applying AI as assistive as part of a process with you and augment what you do. So envision, how do we make that better? What you do better, whether it's to improve response times, clicking back to that engaging customers, or it, again, it could just be manual handling of managing data, things you need to process and do. So the last point here is then improving the products and services. I know in the Microsoft text, they talk about improving products, so things that you put out to market. But I also think about those organisations that is more of a service. I really think a product is physical or packaged that you receive and it's very tangible, whereas a service is much more intangible. I think it's important to recognise they're both. But what service you provide around that, and how can it be improved? And it's really not the way you might make, produce, interact, custom, sell. It's actually what's embedded in that. I'll use Microsoft's own products. They've incorporated AI into many of their desktop applications. So with things like AI, like Designer in PowerPoint, if you're familiar with that. Now Copilot. So those are the sorts of things you think about in your own context, your customers, your employees, the process and operations, and the service products you offer. What is it you're trying to improve and make better? Now, spend a bit of time on this because this is sort of foundational. And if you get that right, as I said, everything else becomes a little bit easier. So I'll take you across then to Align. And this actually was part of more of a framework that I employ as part of the work I do. But I sort of distill this down to a model that's quite common. I can't remember where it originated from, but I like to think about around data and its raw state. It is just data. It helps you operate transactionally, but until you start then refining that, processing that, you then move up these value chains of changing data to information. And so information is commonly referred to as information you can see has happened and report on that. So it's looking in the past. It's I can't remember the term right now, but it's looking and reporting on data that's happened. As you get more of that change to knowledge, you're looking at now that sort of more understanding the wisdom, predicting what might happen, and then intelligence comes to go, well, using that data, how do we then action on that information? Maybe automatically, maybe suggesting, recommending what you need to do next. So this is just a way to think about how information do we have. Again, the technology you have in place, is it being used, and how do you take the value chain, and then the capabilities and automation you put across that that improves that. So while there are kind of some labels there to think about with Align, another way to really consider that is, well, what are the solutions and technologies and applications we need to be able to do to make that happen? So this is really part of that, right? What are the building blocks that we need to do or is required as part of that envisioning? So it might require a bit of reading architecture, talking to professionals to understand, well, if we're going to improve customer service by creating a 24 online support for our organization. We know lots of data. Is it in the right shape? Is it going to be useful? Is it moving now towards the knowledge and intelligence layer? And then to do that, well, we need to have data in a usable state. We might need some other data assets required. It might be information, maybe interactions you've had by email or phone call transcriptions to augment that. And it might require certain technologies. Again, it doesn't have to be, well, I focus on the Microsoft area. There's lots of other off-the-shelf systems that might be useful for that. You might integrate it with existing environments that you have. So that's really the nuts and bolts of kind of the what it is, and it's not just the shiny tech, it's around the data and the process you need to build that, the components. The next part then is the execution part. The lens I had on this, again, just to distill it for this video, was really around services that a service provider might have. But then I think about it in the context of perhaps yourself watching here is, well, you need to go through a step of whatever that step looks like inside your organization, but getting some buy-in, because those envisioning components are probably going to be led by some sort of business requirements or strategy of the organization, and there's going to be a sponsor typically associated with that, and they need to be able to invest as part of general organizational budgeting and what have you to take on those initiatives. So that's really, I guess, a part of it. It includes things like building a business case. So if we're going to improve that service to our customers because we've got we want to make it more competitive against improving our responsiveness, for example, or it's just a service outcome maybe for think about a government organization like a council. Maybe there's the other feedback is that we want to, the constituents have said we need that access to that information. Whatever the demand is, those funds can be allocated to that in obviously business case for that, what they're going to do. Assemble a project team and the right project governance to make sure you're hitting those outcomes. There's a lot more nuanced detail on that, and if you've been part of any project, you'll understand there's a lot more than those 3 bullet points. But in essence, it's really, this is the boots on the ground doing things. And if you've got the skills in house, great. But then you might need to go back and go, do we align with the skills and capabilities in our teams, or do we need to build that out? And so executing might be skill development. It might be engaging partners to help you. But that's really putting it together and actioning and making it happen, executing on that. And then the last thing, doing that right, but this is, as I said at the start of this video, you want to think about what this looks like at the beginning. Do the envisioning and understanding business outcomes. And it changes the equation a little bit, right? But if you understand what you're wanting to do, the goal is, let's take the case example I've been using, right? It's around improving a service for our customers. So is that tied to a service improvement? Or maybe if you're a commercial organization needing to be more competitive, if we've got stellar 24/7 automated responses to customers, that makes us more competitive, we get more business, improves our revenue, or reduces our cost base because we don't have to hire additional staff to take on peak loads to provide that same level of service. So you can see how things like the revenue or service, again, you might not be a commercial entity, so improving service levels is important, not just dollars. Might be operational costs. There's a lot of compliance, risk and safety considerations. I think certainly things like safety is key to a lot of organizations. So would it applying, say, machine vision improve safety in a work site, for example, or meeting compliance requirements? And overall, the other outcome is increasing business agility. We can just do things better, faster, more optimized. They're very valid business outcomes, and there's probably others, but I do find that these 4 capture most of the types of outcomes that organizations seek around that. So I pull these together. This is the one you can take a photo of or a screenshot of if you're interested. But this certainly resonates a lot when I talk to people, organizations I work with, and as part of a framework we've built through the work I do. Understanding vision, what's our strategy, what's our goal, what's the outcome we need. We then start piecing together, right, what's capabilities, data preparations required, and what's the process then to do that? Isn't that align and execute? So I certainly hope that was helpful to understand a bit about my thinking around how we can use data and AI for enabling digital transformation. I think now it's digital transformation is probably not the same buzzword it was 5 years ago. So it's around that business transformation, business enablement, business adoption of data and AI. the sorts of terms I hear more. So I hope this is useful to understand a way to think about that. And if you'd like to know more, please reach out. I'll put the contact details in the notes of this video. Certainly subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this, and hit the like button, which gives me indication of the sort of content that you're interested in as well. And that's it, and I'll see you next time.